off 99.
Yeah.
Trying to think. Like, you know where King City is? So across from 99 from King City.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm in Bull Mountain area.
Oh, nice. We actually almost put an offer in on a house in Bull Mountain. We'll be neighbors.
Cool. Yeah. I smoke meats in La Traeger.
Oh, nice.
So the next time, just let me know where you want me to deliver some.
Oh, yeah. My husband would love that. That's fantastic.
Yeah.
Oh, guys, I think we can start.
Okay.
But at first, thank you for all to be here and welcome to Iterate UX to members that is new. And we are a user experience community with user experience designer professionals like researchers, UX UI designers, UI game designers, junior, mid, interns, seniors from Canada and United States. And it's really cool to see how this community is growing day by day, and we are with them. We are so happy about that. And let me tell you that we are almost 100, and that is really cool one, with really good thing. And for next, people are coming. For next Friday, June 26th, we will have a special meeting named Happy Hour Friday. That will be really that will be every last Friday of each month. The idea is to have free time to exchange ideas and experience with UX designers, researchers, and recruiters within the Zoom meeting. The Zoom meeting time, and the structure is a happy hour style for people to break the ice with attendance, allows us to have fun and really connect with other designers from different cities and cultures. So, and the other end, please, I will give you here in the chat the link to send your assistant link. Yeah, to send your assistant like RSPIV, is RSPV VP. Sorry, and also for new ones that we have a Discord channel. You have a Discord channel where we share resources, opening jobs, meeting updates, and more stuff. Really cool channel to speak with others and know deeply how many attendants are involved in this. And now we will have 1 hour of meeting where Jarrell will be present will present the project, and then we can respond, and they will respond questions that we will give in the chat section, and then we can follow the Discord chat. And now we can go to the point, but let me first, Jarrell, give you like the host.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, so I'll share my screen. Oh, I can't yet.
No. Give me a minute.
Sure.
Make a host. Great. Change a host. I give you the host.
Okay.
Great. Just this thing is to change the host is because of to avoid bombs of something strange in our meetings. That is okay. Cool. So you can start. Thank you for creating this. I am so excited to see what you are having to present to us.
I am glad. Okay, so everyone can see my presentation. We're good?
Yeah. Okay,
perfect. Yeah, hey everyone. I'm Jarrell. I'm from Vancouver. I'm a senior product designer, 3+ years. So my role has fluctuated. Right now I'm actually looking for work, but I still work with this company called UI Avenue Analytics. Well, UI Avenue, and then we have different apps. This is our analytics app, and it's basically built so that we can help Shopify owners build their brands. and let them know more about their business. So yeah, and thanks to Adam and Leticia for organizing this. This has really been awesome. So yeah, let me get into it. So yeah, so Shopify basically, there's a lot of independent business owners who have Shopify stores, and we've set out to help them. UI Avenue only consists of 5 people, 5 or 6, fluctuates, and we have marketing, we have developers, and we're trying to build a user experience and build a brand for ourselves. We're not only creating one app, but we're creating multiple apps, and this is the biggest one that we've created so far. So pretty much what's the problem? Well, companies rely on Google Analytics and Shopify's tools, but in the next slides, I'll show you why they aren't as useful and why they're lacking in the category. So as you can see here, it's not really as organized. Later on, I'll show you what we offer and what differentiates us, but this is very basic, and this is not as in-depth as can be. For Google Analytics, you basically need to know exactly what you're looking for. Google Analytics has a whole entire crash course on YouTube. There's so many resources out there, but it's so confusing for someone who, just opened up a shop, probably doesn't have as much internet experience as others, or has some, but even me, I can't, on the left side, there's so many things and there's so many filters. I've had my developers kind of run me down through this and just kind of showing us where things are, and I just got super lost right away. This is our other competitor. This is a one that's actually on the Shopify store. Better Reports. I kind of let the design speak for itself. This is our biggest competitor. They have many likes and many reviews, many downloads on Shopify. They're, I believe, a Romanian store, our Romanian app, and a lot of the key features that I've implemented are things like user personas, there's goal trackers, there's really good customer support, and there's industry benchmarks. So this is kind of this is the leader that I kind of looked upon and based a lot of my decisions of what they kind of did. So entering my personas, my biggest tip for personas, I usually like to use it so that I can empathize and I can advocate for the users by digging into their motivations, frustrations, and overall goals. What I actually did for these exact personas, I went through the Shopify reviews from the past app that you just saw, and I looked to this store, found it on Facebook, and then I actually found different people who work there. And so I was able to find the owners, I was able to find marketers, and I was able to kind of keep a collection of who are personas and who the users actually are, and grab, the info on them and kind of see what, based it on their voice. So here's another one, but this is owner instead of the marketer. So there's another way to do personas, and that's through user statements. Here's an example that I've created, but basically it condenses your perspective into a problem and creates metrics for success to be used throughout the design thinking process. These are actionable statements and needs to have, over here it says need, and it has a goal and who the user is. So my example is Sarah is a young marketer who needs a tool to analyze her business analytics in order to make smarter data-driven decisions that cuts the complexity of Google Analytics. That is my goal. That is her goal for my app. So again, yes.
Can I give you just a minute, because Sophie is wanting to come in the meeting, but you have the host already. So
how do I
accept? You can accept if you.
Oh, here I got it. Yeah, I got it.
If you give me the access, I could. you're not going to share your screen anymore. So sorry.
No worries.
Just
Let me
keep
give
your
you-
eye on it. Just keep your eye on it and admit people
Yeah.
Sure.
for her.
Sorry.
Yeah, I'll do that. Cool. Okay, so yeah, again, just kind of want to reiterate that my role is senior product designer, but it extends to creating ads and helping with marketing. I work closely with our CEO, who is actually the lead developer of my previous company, Convertis. He left after we got bought out and then kind of grabbed me. He grabbed like a front end wizard of ours, and then he added my manager at the time actually, and he added an intern. And I've been working for him. I work on the side. I work after work, and I worked primarily on just making sure that they had the deliverables that they need on time because they were working full time. So here's just a quick overview of what my process looks like. We use Trello, but I really like Notion. I'll kind of show you what my Notion looks like, but super flexible. There's so many templates that you can just go in. They're great for resources and documentation, which is a huge thing that I feel like companies really cherish. If you can bring great documentation, then you're already a step ahead. Milanote has really cool templates for personas and user flows. And Google Keep is something that I always access whenever I'm on my phone. Whenever I have a quick thought, I just throw it in there. There's a label, done. I use Slack. I'm pretty sure everyone uses Slack, but my Slack is still my favorite. Zeppelin is so that I can export my designs to the developers, and then they can have color, they can have space or padding, they can have space, they can have all the resources, images, anything that a developer needs to get exactly what you design onto code. And then Sketch is just to do mockups, and Figma, I like to use it because my CEO and whoever wants to make ads can actually use it because it's cross-team, and they just need the link, and I just invite them. Super easy. So yeah, following, I'll show you my wireframing, my onboarding process, design systems, and the visual research, style guide, and final product. There's a lot more that I intend to do, but a lot of I've been limited by budgetary reasons, and so there will not be as much work as I would like to do, but it's in the process. So this is kind of my Trello board, just a quick preview. I kind of just divided it of what type of things that I'm working on. So this, dashboard, there's a design system. What am I working on with that? There's user testing. What's in review from devs, and what have I finished? This is my Notion. This is more towards user testing. I feel this is, I've had, there's like a whole list of who's going to be in the user research. There's goals and objectives. There's different questionnaires. It's like if you combine Excel and Google Docs and you just kind of crammed it to one. That's how I use this. And see, like, I don't have to flip back and forth, and it's super flexible, and there's filters. I can geek out about Notion forever, but I'll just stop. Here's my wireframes. I like to use a dotted paper, and I like to scan it. But I find that whenever you do wireframes on paper, you get your ideas flowing really quickly. I always start with mobile first as well. I always work on what is in focus, what is in the top of the page, because that's what makes the biggest difference for users. That's what users see first, and that's what makes them stay. I make sure that pages are super consistent. I point out different parts, titles. I point out different functionalities. I try to use as much words as I can, and then I may flesh out more of it into Sketch and add in more content. I think content wireframes are really useful, but I wish I did it at this time. And the beauty of doing paper wireframes is that you can get stakeholders the thumbs up from stakeholders a lot quicker. You can reiterate really quickly, and you can just make changes on the fly. You don't have to go through your mock-up and make sure that all your spacing is correct. No, you just go. And a lot of these, I didn't have to do as much wireframes as I thought I would, because a lot of the pages are templated, and a lot of the pages actually look the same and are very modular with just some differences that is used from the devs. So my onboarding process was kind of a lot. I aim to help users understand that we have the solutions to their problems. That's the biggest thing. Customers, if they're more likely to churn in the first 21 days with a new product. So you have to make sure that they have every single thing that they can use in order for them to feel empowered. And yeah, so this is where I kind of told the users, okay, look, there's going to be a long process. Your Google Analytics, all the data is going to be in the background, but I want you to know, and I'm going to grab your hand, and I want you to know that we're still here for you. You can set up things prior to, you don't have to, but it would be useful. And this is kind of the process. I'm just going to grab your hand and go. So with my design system, a huge advantage is that a lot of my designs, and a lot of them are sort of templated. So mobile pages, once I got a mobile page, once I got maybe 5 pages, and I gave my developers, okay, this is what the mobile charts are going to look like. This is what desktop's going to look like. With those 4 or 5 mobile pages, I was able to say, this is what the layout is going to look like. Go. And a lot of my focus has been on desktop purely, because I've already kind of figured out, and they've already figured out how all of the mobile pages are going to look well with just like 5 or 6 pages. So sometimes there's points at which you don't actually have to do more work than necessary. You can focus on things that they need now, because that's what's going to make them money. And sometimes extra work is, well, extra work, right? So just here's a couple more pieces that I made. Making buttons, making all the different instances. This is all really important to tell the developers, hey, this is what it should look like. Continuing, color is a huge part of it, and you have to kind of make sure that you accounted for all the color, all the reasons why the color is there, especially within dashboard where color makes a huge difference about what you're pointing to. Also made a style guide. This is kind of for me, and this is kind of for presentations, not necessarily as important for dev, I found. They don't really rely on this. They already have all of the color in their backend, and all of it is coded inside of it. This is just kind of for me to keep up to date and kind of show off. I found that for dashboard structure is really key. And what I did, my initial mistake was that I didn't really have the right amount of spacing. Instead, my devs said, hey, we're using this thing called Tailwind, and all of it is 8 pixels grid. Okay, great. So every single thing that I ever did from now on was only 8 pixels padding. So it's 8, 16, 24, et cetera, et cetera. And so knowing that, I created this little structure of mine so that all of the devs and all of my designs can just be succinct, and it could be interchangeable with whatever they want to do as well. It's not as dependent on me to make 40 layouts. Now it's just kind of one. So here's the, so here's the final product. Obviously, there still could be changes, but this is kind of where we're at right now. This is our test site, so there's not as much content, but we just use this just to test things out. Over here, this is a to-do list. So if you have any thing that's active, anything that needs to call for attention, you can put it here. You can put complete. You can have a snooze, so it sends you a notification 3 days, 5 days from now, whatever you set up. And then you can also disable it if you're kind of tired of it. And here's an example of an executive report. I can also go through the app, but this is kind of just a really good example of what our pages look like for each report. Here's the biggest section. Like I said, you need structure and you need a really good spacing. All of this is 8 pixels of spacing basically per. So, you know, all the titles is either 24, 16, or 8. And everything kind of follows that 8 pixel grid so that it flows really well. You can look up more about 8 pixels gridding and why it's important, but it's just a thing that screens kind of do. And I think it's great for responsiveness.
Great.
And just here's quickly what mobile looks like. I chose to have the menu on the bottom just so that it's really quick to reach for the user. And menu is just to hide all the other reports since there's so many. I don't want to kind of throw them just at the user. And yeah, so this is kind of what the mobile looks like. And like I mentioned before, Figma is great for scalable designs, things that needs a template, and I make ads on pretty regularly actually through Figma. And so whenever, you know, my devs have an article they're writing or they want to make a Instagram ad like today, I just kind of go in here, make the changes. It allows the CEO to make some changes. It makes everyone collaborate. So big lessons that I'm still learning and that I've learned is that you need to work with your devs efficiently. Sometimes things aren't perfect. Sometimes they're not exactly how you design, but you have to choose your battles wisely. And sometimes that those couple pixels here, couple pixels there, if they change some things around, you have to understand that that's the developer working with the system properly. You're the one who's designing it, but they have to code it, and sometimes you can't get your way, which is fine, as long as basically the end product meets the needs. When you're doing your design system, make sure that you map it out efficiently. Make sure that you have all the naming. What are the levels of what are you going to include? Because mine has grown a lot of weeds and isn't as clean and nice that I want it to be. And I could have prevented that early had I known pretty much what components to make. That was my mistake, and I wish I scoped it out earlier. It says there prototype early. Well, if you can get a prototype early, you can learn how it flows. You can learn if it makes sense for someone to just quickly play with. And it saves a lot of time for devs as well. I mentioned interview and usability test early often. This is not something that I was able to do, but I would advise doing a 30-minute call with a friend. It doesn't have to be the exact user. It could be something around the user, but this would be really helpful for getting those initial investigations, those assumptions early on, and you can kind of run with it. And this is proof of your concepts, and this is proof of what you thought is the right answer. And I would have preferred Figma. Figma's great. It has a design system embedded in there. You can scale really well with it. You can work with others really quickly. And it just creates a lot of flexibility. All right, so with that portion in mind, how did I choose my colors? My colors kind of took probably 6 rounds. We were at green in the start, and I wasn't a fan of it. We were thinking, okay, should we go shades of green? Well, I don't know. I didn't really like shades of green, so we kept going through different iterations, and finally I kind of had to put my foot down and was like, all right, we want blue. Everyone in the devs want blue. Let's try to figure out how we can work with blue. As you can see, I have 6 in the graphic fill. There has to be 6 colors that work seamlessly together. That's hard because things easily clash and saturation is tough. But my biggest thing was I'm not the best color theory, but I know that websites can figure that out for me. So I made them all complementary colors off of each other. And I found that white is super useful. Off-white, especially with the shades of gray that you see, that's great for white to stand out and for my designs to be super subtle, but also creating the right amount of white space. And I also researched a ton into the industry and what practices that they have and making sure that, my colors kind of go around that. And I didn't want to step on competitors' toes at all. And one more thing about this is that a lot of the colors, it's a focal point for where you want your users to go. You don't want to overdo it. As you can tell in the previous slides of my the end product, I was very, very, very low on where I'm going to use colors because there's so much data and there's so many things going on. You have to make sure that the user is feeling calm and there. I touched on this earlier with Tailwind CSS, but if you're working on a project or if you're ever you want to try coding yourself, I would look into it. Super useful. It has, you can do CSS calls in HTML, and you can build very high structured, very, very quick components. You can actually see it on the website itself. And like I said earlier, it has that 8 pixels apart, that 8 pixel padding that I did. And it also has very native responsiveness. So that whatever you do there it's going to be pretty much responsive. It's basically like a way better Bootstrap and a way easier to use Bootstrap. There's so many colors here. Like I said, every time that I had to change colors, I had to give them to dev. So there's a bunch of times where I had to do all of this. So there's, left aligned text, all the right aligned text, all the center aligned text, all the hero text. And I had to keep rechanging that. But this helps the devs basically have an ecosystem of colors that they can grab from for any uses, especially the shades of gray. Yeah, so like I mentioned, I made sure I used Picular just for business. Like if you want to Google whatever you want, like forestry, they can send it to you. It'll just appear whatever type of thing that you're thinking of, you can use it. And what I ended up using was Color Adobe, and I used the complementary side. And I just basically built all the colors around that and tweaked it to where I liked. But I want to use science. I don't want to use my own brain because sometimes I don't trust myself. I just don't. But I can trust that my stakeholders, if they appreciate the colors and if they can kind of tell how much work I put into it, and we can all agree on something, I think that's a bigger win than anything. So here's kind of what I showed them, and I asked them, hey, what do you want to, what do you like from here? What do we all like? What can we grab? What's our inspiration? Here's dashboards that I like. Here's color combinations that I like. Where do you want to go from here? And on the top right, I had to use the pie because that was one of my charts. So that was what I used in order to check color balance. And yeah, that's it. Thank you guys for listening. Any questions?
Great one, Daryl. Great one. So you have questions already.
Oh, perfect.
I think.
Yeah, so Trixie asked if Shopify dashboard, if users tend to use desktop and mobile more, or how are you able to prioritize data on mobile compared to desktop? The thing is that we haven't been able to outfit our app with Hotjar. That's what we would like to use it for. I want to know, where are users coming from? Are they using mobile or are they using desktop? If you were to ask me what I think that they're probably using desktop more. But if we were to give them mobile, I want them to have the info right in their fingertips, and I want them to be able to just check, right? In the home screen, that's why I had revenue listed there. That's why on the top, that's why they grade. It's something that you can just check, you can quickly see, and then you can turn away. Mobile isn't the biggest priority, especially with data, just because there's so much data and it's so tricky. It's tricky for devs, it's tricky for us. So it's geared towards more of the power user, the user that we know is really good with technology and that doesn't need a demo. But right now we're working on a demo that's actually a videotape of one of my devs, and he's actually reading a script, and certain parts of the screen is actually being highlighted while they're basically teaching you the app. So that paired with documentation is probably the best way for us to onboard our new users. And then Letitia asked, what is the difference between Figma to Sketch in terms of understanding the tools and work collaboratively? For Sketch and Figma, I would say that a lot of the shortcuts, which are really important to me, because I like to work really quickly and I don't want the tool to kind of get in my way. I find that a lot of the tools and the shortcuts are very intuitive, and they're pretty much the same. There is a bit of a learning curve, but it's not that high. There's an onboarding section in Figma that lets you prototype, that lets you kind of create mockups, and it shows you, hey, this is how you do different screens. And for work collaboration, it's great because they can easily just devs can easily just go in, they can look at what you're doing, and et cetera, et cetera. Will Figma work with InVision? I'm pretty sure, because I was able to work with Zeppelin through a Figma. I haven't tried out InVision just because we're not using InVision yet, but I can do a really quick search now and probably tell you that they probably work with InVision. I use InVision for prototyping primarily, but I just tried out Figma's prototyping tools, and it's really, really useful. It was really intuitive. In Figma, can you do override text and components like you can in Sketch? I haven't played around with the design system in Figma yet. I can imagine that there's a lot of plugins that you can. I do want to play with that as well, but I'd imagine that it would probably be very similar. How is Figma's SVG export? Is it crap like Sketch, or do you use Illustrator or for all your SVG icons for developers? So personally, I still use Sketch for SVGs. I want to play around with Figma's SVG export. I am very confident about Figma right now. For the SVG icons, actually for this, Tailwind UI has a massive resource pool, and they can actually, my developers preferred that they use the icons that are given for free that's actually designed by Tailwind UI, and they can just grab the entire sheet. All the SVGs are with them, and it makes things a lot quicker compared to things like Font Awesome, where you have to load another font, and that takes a lot more load speed. This is a lot more quicker. How did you decide which battle? What has been the biggest challenge during this project? I would say working with developers who are on this full time, and compared to me, that's part time. That's a huge challenge because they're always ahead of you, and you always kind of have to play catch up. Another challenge is that we don't have a very big team. We have a very small budget. So there's a lot of different things that I kind of have to do on my own. There's a lot of tasks that I have to make up, and there's a lot of things that I'm trying to play catch up with. I guess that would probably be the biggest challenge. And not doing this full time. How did you decide which battles to pick with developers currently struggle? I tend to appease the developers to a point. I kind of choose what hill I want to die on and what is the biggest issue. Let's say that a developer went into the homepage and kind of completely reworked it behind my back. I want to know why, and I want to be able to flush out, look, we need a communication process. It should go through me at least. Like, I want to be aware of this. But if they're making, like, let's say that part of my components, they just kind of switched headings from left to right part of it. And I look at it, I think it's fine. It's not what I exactly designed. That's fine, because it's not a huge priority for me, and it's not a break it. It's not a make or break it. Like, I'm not going to lose sleep over it. But if you're going to completely redesign of what I've done, that's where I stand my ground. What steps did you take for visualizing the complex data and visualizing? How did you prioritize? I just focused, when I was making the complex data, I basically just asked a ton of questions. Okay, what type of data are we working with? What type of graphs do you need? They would give me what graphs we need. Okay, I'll just make the graphs. I'll make it for 5-6 points. Done. And part of my process was going through each report and going through like 10 pages, finding what people look for, especially KPIs, and including those. That basically paved the way for developers to be like, okay, these are going to be what on the page. Here's, I designed what it should look like. This is where the top is going to have the main thing that arguably is, revenue, where they're gaining money. That's the main focus. And then everything below is just a side thing. It's just, you can just kind of spit it out if you want. How do you know the results after the app launch? Well, I check in with the developers every time I can. I see how many users that we've had. I ask why are they leaving? What can I do to help that? What can we do to improve? Those kind of things. Those are the biggest results. And we still need more users in order for us to maintain. How did you arrange your time on each step? For example, how much time did you put on research, analysis, personas, wireframes, or did you just put the same amount of time on each step? I didn't arrange anything. Some things are a lot faster. Some things are a lot slower. Wireframes would be a lot faster. Personas take a bit more time. It depends on the manager, and it depends what milestones you're trying to hit. I had to be a lot faster with it because I had to hit a deadline that my CEO gave to me. Was, hey, we kind of want to get things going in a month from now. So I had to put things into overdrive. If I have to work faster, I work faster. If I don't, then I can take my time and I can make things a lot better. Yeah, so can you talk more about the color organization? I'm not sure what the color organization you're referring to. I just basically organized my colors, basically whatever complements each other. So blue has complements of yellow. Okay, so let's see what yellow looks like. Oh, okay, so if yellow has like a nice kind of pale red, what complements with that? Let's see, purple. Okay, great. I also look at nature, and I also look at a lot of inspirations through Dribbble and all that kind of things. And I just kind of just grab a whole bunch of pictures and I ask the stakeholders, hey, what do you guys like? Because I'm impartial to color. I choose color based on what users look for. I honestly couldn't care less what colors we go with, as long as the users like it. That's really my biggest priority. And I find that the color set that I have is probably will be a lot better for users, especially for contrast, and you can tell what different data is. How do you handle quality control with developers? Do you have developers that can execute the design, or do you have to create cleanup, fit, and finish checklists for them to fix? So with quality control, it's not something that I've been able to manage as well as I'd like to. I kind of go through the app after they're done, but some of them have bigger egos than I prefer, and just to kind of explain myself takes a lot of energy, and they usually don't change anything. Like, for example, one of the front-end guys, he's really good at front-end, but he's also kind of a designer himself. So I kind of have to rely on his expertise, and I kind of also have to, like I said, choose my own battles, because he can also articulate and he can also find reasons why this is correct. I've worked with developers who don't basically argue or don't talk back or like don't have any logic because they aren't as designed influence or designed experience as the ones that I've worked with and the ones that I'm working with right now. And yeah, so usually I just kind of go through design. I don't go through each point. I don't go through each pixel. I don't check. I check if, is this better? Is this good? And is this the project that we set out to deliver? What do you think you could have done better? Like I said earlier, I think I could have organized my design system a lot better. I think I could have started with UX deliverables sooner, but it was tough because, like I said, my CEO gave me a time frame and it was quite tight, and I kind of just said, okay, let's try it out, and then I'm gonna do more UX research afterwards. It kind of didn't go out that way. Life kind of has its own way of taking over, so convincing them that it's really important is also pretty crucial. How much time was your sprint? I didn't actually do any sprints. I guess the only sprint I could say was probably the one in September and October when it was given to me, when the project was actually given to me. It was about a month just to basically say, hey, we need at least some basic wireframes and some high fidelity mockups, and I just kind of did it. Do you think a research now could change something? Yes, I definitely do. I think if you can grab qualitative and quantitative research from users, and you can say that to developers, and you can say, hey, this is a big priority, please work on it. And I think that can shift substantially or maybe minor. It really depends on what you find out, but you'll never find out if you don't try, right? You'll only have assumptions. Did you consider ADA? What's ADA? I think I've heard ADA before, but I'm not sure what that means. Oh, accessibility, right.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. I did consider accessibility to a point, especially when it came to some of the text. I did always check to see if you can, if it was visible, and I would always run it through AAA accessibility and see like each color how text looks and kind of just balance it that way. So a lot of the colors was actually meant so that it had the proper right contrast. What is your approach if you have finished a sprint handover, got feedback from your manager that you have to change some of the flows and that you will not be able to give a firm handoff? How to communicate to devs if the situation happens? Yeah, so in that regard, I give them a timeline. I say, hey, I can do it within a week. I could give it within 2 weeks. I can do it within a couple of days. I just make sure that they're aware that this will take me extra time. Preferably, I like to do it as soon as possible. I like to do it right on the spot. I want to get feedback right away. Usually, it's not that bad of a feedback, but I always spend that extra time. Even when I get home, I will do those changes because I want to make sure that they can get that right away and that we can kind of move on from those changes. Nothing is super firm. I don't like to kind of say, oh, I'm gonna make it right there. Language of code can influence in your job. How do you mean?
I think maybe it's like she's asking about the understanding code can help you design better components, because you're not fighting against the reality of how you would actually build something because you're designing it the correct way the first time.
Yeah,
you're thinking,
exactly. Yeah, exactly. Like I mentioned earlier, my developers, showed me what they use. It's Tailwind CSS, and they said that 8 pixels of padding were for each component. So when I learned that, I knew that all of my designs had to have 16 pixels of padding, 24, et cetera, and every single design fit that mentality, so that nearly what I designed was always going to be what they had. And communication and making sure that things were very realistic for them, that's a huge part of. Even if you can kind of figure out some basics of coding, even taking like W3 schools, they have really easy coding lessons. That's going to be super influential to how you can speak with developers. You can know what to extent that they can actually code. I'm not going to give them something that they can't work with, and I'm not going to give them something that doesn't work for mobile. I know what works for mobile because I've worked on projects for mobile. I've coded for mobile before, so I know that there are very hard limitations at points. And also LinkedIn has Learning has some great courses. There you go. But yeah, knowing limitations is super crucial when you're designing. You can't design crazy things just because you want to. You have to consider a lot of things, especially what devs are going to build. And going back to my point earlier, that's why I kind of let devs, especially ones that with design backgrounds, I kind of let them do what they want and kind of have my own foothold, because I know that there are limitations and that there are very dead set things that they can't work with. I can try to push it, but I just do my best.
Okay, I think thank you for the answers. Really good questions also for everyone. You can give me the house if you want.
Sure.
Thank you.
No worries.
That's really cool, right? What do you think about?
Awesome.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Great job.
Great job. Great one. Oh, thank you. Thank you, Iris. So you give me, yeah? Yeah, sure.
Here, let me stop. Sure.
Cool. Yeah, great. So I hope you guys, the juniors or the new ones understand well this, because I think it's really useful for everybody. Yeah, so thank you for your job. Was really good presentation.
I'm glad.
The first one with PPT, powerful.
It didn't take me very long to make, luckily. So
Totally. So we can introduce ourselves if you have time, or we can like speak for 10 minutes until to finish the hour. You want? I wanted to know about the new ones. Sarah, you are new.
Hi guys, so my name is Sarah. I am in Seattle, Washington, and I am, oh, are you from Seattle, Pamela? Yay, there's another one. Yeah, I was excited to find this group because, yeah, it's so regionally focused to the Northwest, so that was exciting, connect with people in similar part of the continent, because we have Canadians here as well. Anyway, I come from a public health research background originally, and then after that it was a marketing background with some web design, and I'm recently transitioning into UX. So currently looking for a position, probably I'd love to stay in the Northwest because it's just so beautiful. And yeah, I'm excited to see where it takes me.
Nice.
So great to meet you all.
Thank you. Thank you for having here, for stay here. Yeah, it's our pleasure to having you here. And Kelsey.
Hi everyone, I'm Kelsey. It's nice to meet you guys. I am based in the Portland, Oregon area, so I'm also in the US side of things, but it's awesome. I'm thrilled that there's like a whole bunch of people international. It's awesome. I have a background in finance. I did 5 years in basically operations management analytics for a finance firm, and recently kind of decided I found kind of UX accidentally. I didn't know it was a thing until I started researching a lot more, found it fascinating. And so I took a certification course and left my career in finance. And so I am a junior level designer, just trying to learn and kind of acquire information from you all and eventually find a job. But that's where I'm at right now.
Great. Yeah. And Pia, you can, yeah. Pia are not here. Amy here. Is she here? No. Oh, Victoria, how was your day? Yeah.
Hey, how are you?
How are you?
Oh, hanging in. Yeah, well as possible.
Yeah. And jumping, it's. Do you want to present? I don't think.
Oh, sorry, what was that? Are you talking to me or?
Oh yeah, just
Video cut out a bit.
speak, but because you have a bad problem today, maybe you can speak about you are also searching a position. Also.
I definitely am. Yeah. So unfortunately, I was laid off. COVID-19, another casualty of that. Not literally, but job-wise. So definitely got a background in anthropology. Kind of a interesting shift from graphic design to anthropology and back again, and mixing them both together. So definitely looking for a junior role. Just kind of trying to get my skills up and keep learning and getting new programs under my belt.
Great.
Hey, Victoria, there's a group that I need to connect you with, like the content strategy PDX group.
Oh, okay.
There's a bunch of like content marketers, but they all work with designers. So I'll introduce you to some people there and see if any of those companies are hiring.
Okay, that would be great. Thank you. Content strategy PDX. Okay.
Yeah, I don't know, guys, if you want to present the old ones to the new ones. Yeah, live.
Hey guys, so I have a question to the group. In fact, I'm facing a little bit of a problem with my design assets, as in stock images, stock videos, you know, those vectors you purchase, fonts. So I have all these elements and licenses. And right now I organize them in folders, but do you guys use any tools where I could organize that more efficiently? Anyone?
That's a hard one. I think the only way to organize it more efficiently is to buy something like Binder, which corporations use that costs like thousands of dollars a year. People build stuff like that for the purpose that you need, but you're not a corporation. So I don't know of any like, you know, personal based tools that organize well. Yeah, that's a challenge. I think it's a challenge I mean, I have that problem.
Yeah, because I have all these vectors which I purchase and each one has their own license. And oh my God, I'm just going crazy. So, you know, same thing with fonts. Like when you purchase a font, sometimes it comes with a license.
Yeah.
And stock images, sometimes you're purchasing stock images from, you know, different websites, and you need to keep a track, you know, especially for your client, for your company, in case, you know, whatever.
Yeah. So I mean, for me, it like the go-to is organizing really well in a folder that's synced up, whether it's Dropbox or Box. I would prefer Dropbox over Box, but and then I'd probably be tracking it with a spreadsheet, which is funny, but
exactly. I don't like spreadsheets.
So I have something for you, maybe. Airtable. You might try Airtable. I've used Airtable to do some crazy cool stuff.
Yeah, really.
But I don't know if. Yeah, I think you can attach files and stuff to it.
Yeah. Notion could also be a good solution for that too, I think.
What would it be?
Notion.
Which
Notion. That.
Yeah.
Notion. Oh, okay. Cool.
I'm like Jarrell. I'm a huge Notion geek, so I can definitely geek out on that forever. But I think it could work. It's very similar to spreadsheeting. So if you don't like that aspect of it, it's probably is not a good idea, but I like the fact that you can visualize data in different ways. So you can sort of make it work for your needs.
I do like Notion too. Yeah.
Yeah.
The only downside of Notion is that you have to, everybody has to pay for it in order to share effectively. So if you're doing your personal stuff, you can still share with people, but it's not like you're going to collaborate with somebody unless you're paying for the higher tiered stuff. That's the challenge. That's the only downside.
Yeah, and if you pay for something, then I'll need an approval. So yeah, don't want to do that. Cool, but yeah, I'm gonna check out.
I'll keep an eye out. You should check out Product Hunt and see if it's there. Have you heard of Product Hunt?
No.
Have you guys heard of Product Hunt? It's like a place where new products are and people uprate it or downrate it, and then and it's a community. They have job boards and stuff too. And
like software advice, right?
Could you please could do that in Discord, or?
Yeah, I'll put that in Discord.
Is it similar to Capterra and software advice?
It's like ratings on software by community. So if you want to find out companies that are hiring, it's a good place to go and like find out if it has it's an app that has been upvoted. It means that they probably have good sales because they have a good product. And if they have job postings, then you'd want to work there. So it's a good way to network too, because you can create a profile on there and message with people. You can be, one of the ways I network is I'm an early adopter to new software. And then I let the marketing people try to sell me the software, and then they give me their emails, and then I connect with them on LinkedIn, and I connect with all of their other employees, and then you get a job if you want, So being an early adopter to stuff can be helpful, because a good thing to do is add value to them and give them feedback on their product. Use their product, give feedback, and then they open the doors to you. They invite you to their, Spectrum chat. They invite you to their private Slack channel to give feedback on the software. You're hanging out with their developers and designers, in their Slacks channels. It's like, how'd that happen? Well, yeah, just go become an early adopter on some stuff. Product Hunt.
Awesome. Thank you.
Guys, did you send the attendance for the next meeting or for the happy hour Friday? Please do it. Yeah, please.
Question? Oh, sorry.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, could I have the link to the Discord channel?
Yeah, sure. I will.
Thank you.
Here.
I think I just tried to click on a link that was expired.
There is.
Thank you.
Welcome. Yeah. Max, you want to say something? You just give me your hand. Oh, okay. Don't worry. It's okay.
No, I didn't. But you know what? Now that I have the mic unmuted, I just want to throw it out there. So how many people are currently upgrading their skills or learning about UX and are looking for their first job? I just want to get a quick show. Okay, cool. So just out of curiosity, like, what has been your approach to learning your skills? I saw in the chat a few people are taking some certificate courses. What are other ways that people are keeping up with learning and upgrading your skills? I'm curious.
I'm just doing self-learning. I don't really have the funds to do a lot of these bigger programs like from General Assembly or Springboard or anything like that. So I've just been using YouTube, Skillshare. They're pretty good price videos, and a lot of people are great and share them for free. I'm really just trying to self-learn as much as I can and maybe take a course, maybe at a school here in Portland eventually.
I think this is really interesting because I have just a certification for Udemy for user experience designer. So I learned the whole processes, and I have I have practicing a lot in different projects, real projects, actually. So I think it's not necessary really go to the course or a boot camp if you're not passionate about that. There are free courses if totally. It's just about to want to do. I think totally believe. So guys,
anybody else? Anybody else want to answer Max's question?
Sure. I've been reaching out to people I know who are currently working and like what are their projects and what is their process and what have they been asked to do, and then like see if I can like do kind of like a piggyback kind of thing. So it's kind of like mentoring with people who are already in the field, and like what are the things that they're being asked to do now? How are they making sure they're getting contact with CEOs and stakeholders so that they're on their game about making sure their deliverables are what the higher ups really want to see, right? And so it's just kind of like practicing it, adding to the portfolio with these just examples of like stuff that you would do if you had that role, if you were in that place, if that's what you would do. Because that's anything, they just want to see like a hunger and a passion, even if it didn't like, So reach out to people you know. We're a super helpful, awesome community.
Thank you. That's crazy. Really good. Thank you, guys. I think we can start ending this meeting. Thank you to be here, and see you next week. Bye. Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks.